Alrighty, folks, we're hitting at 71% in our last 15 chairman package plays on my premium page. And the good news is I have another chairman pick going off here today. And if you sign up for my full access, all-inclusive chairman package, you're going to get access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to my chairman podcast absolutely free. It's going to be included with your purchase. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on the free videos and what I do on my premium page. Well, what I do here on the free videos is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on my premium page is, well, I actually share with you which one of these free plays I actually like the best. I'm 8-3 in my last 11 extra daily picks. 4-1 of my last 5 NHL tier membership plays. And finally, guys, once again, I'm hitting at 71% in my last 15 chairman package picks. And the good news is I have plays going off in all of those packages here today. The site is patreon.com/BrockPage. With that, folks, we are going to jump into some free content. Let's go ahead and get started with the Grizzlies at the Pistons, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Memphis is -1.5, totals 219. And as bad as the Grizzlies have been this year, they did get the W in 2 out of their last 3. Victories over the likes of Dallas and Utah. And I'll tell you what, guys, these guys have played very tough defensively. Don't let that record fool you. They're in the top 3 in the West in field goals allowed per game. And they're taking on a pitiful Detroit squad who's been a little threat shooting it from long range. The Pistons make fewer three-pointers a game than any other team except for one. And no real surprise here, folks. This is a bottom 3-point producing team in the East. Now, injury-wise, Joe Harris is doubtful for Detroit. Kennard, Smart, and LaRavia still out for Memphis. 6 out of the Grizzlies' last 7 ball games fell under the total. Meanwhile, Detroit saw unders recently against the likes of Cleveland, Washington, and Denver. Give me the Grizzlies -1.5. Under 219. Next game, Magic, Cavaliers, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Cleveland's the 4-point favorite, totals 223. And even though this is a pretty short number, you still got to consider the fact that Cleveland hasn't covered very well. They're 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 ball games, and they have a terrible time covering at home. These guys are 3-8 against the spread in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Good for just 27% in that category. And they're facing an Orlando club who's won a bunch of games and also plays very physical defense. They're actually allowing fewer second-quarter points a game than any other roster in basketball. And when it comes to rebounding the ball, well, these guys grab more defensive boards than any other team in the league. Paolo Banchero, he's grabbing 7 rebounds a night, ranks 2nd on the roster in scoring. Meanwhile, Franz Wagner, he's scoring over 20.5 points a night himself. When it comes to the number, the Magic did successfully cover in 6 out of their last 9 road games. Now, injury-wise, Fultz and Carter are out. Isaac's questionable. Meanwhile, for Cleveland on the other side, Jerome, Wade, and LeVert are out for them. When it comes to the total, the Cavs saw their last 4 straight stay under the number. They're also 64% to the under this year in their own building. Give me the Magic +4, under 223. Next matchup, Sixers-Wizards, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Philadelphia is the 10-point favorite, totals 239.5. Now, Philadelphia is a top 5 point-producing team in the NBA. Of course, most of that is thanks to Joel Embiid, who's averaging a league-best 32 points a night, 5th in the league in rebounds as well. Meanwhile, Tyrese Maxey, he averages 27 points a game himself. He's also drilling 40% of his long balls. Now, they're facing a Washington team who allows over 125 points a night, and they rank dead last in defensive field goal percentage. They're letting their opponents make nearly 51% of their field goals against them. And if that ain't bad enough, this is the worst defensive rebounding team in the game as well. Now, injury-wise, Davis, Shamet, and Poole are questionable for Washington. The Wizards are 63% to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, 8 out of Philadelphia's last 10 ball games got over the line. Give me the Sixers minus 10 over 239.5. Next matchup, Nets-Hawks, 7:30 Eastern start time. Atlanta's 4.5, totals 243. Now, I'm just not sure if the Hawks are playing good enough basketball at the moment to take care of business here tonight. They lost 3 out of their last 4. And they've been awful at covering the point spread. Atlanta failed to cover in 8 out of their last 9 ball games. They also failed to cover in all of their home games except for 1. They're facing a Brooklyn club who's 7-3 against the number in their last 10, and they are a legit threat shooting it from long range. Brooklyn's got the second highest team 3-point percentage in the NBA. Now, when it comes to rebounding the basketball, nobody does it better on offense than Brooklyn. They're snagging more offensive boards a game than any other team in the association. Nick Claxton grabs nearly double-digit rebounds a night. 67% shooting from the field for Claxton as well. Gets real close to the hoop. Cam Thomas and Mikal Bridges, they're both averaging well over 22 points a night, respectively. 6 out of the Nets' last 9 ball games got over the number. Atlanta 7-1 to the over at the State Farm Arena. Give me the Nets plus 4.5 over 243. Next game, Heat Raptors, 7:30 Eastern start time. Toronto's minus 3, totals 220. And as bad as Toronto's been this week, it's actually Miami who lost 4 out of their last 5 themselves. They're a bottom 10 field goal making team. And aside from some really shoddy rebounding on offense, the Heat's biggest problem has been point production late in games. These guys are a bottom 3 fourth quarter scoring team, and they're going up against a Toronto team on the other side who's probably, going to out-rebound them. They're a top 5 offensive rebounding team in the East. And when it comes to defensive play, the Raptors, they've certainly been tough to score against in the Scotiabank Arena. Scotty Barnes leads the roster in blocks and steals, second on the roster in points. And scoring-wise, Pascal Siakam, he's averaging a team-high 20 points a game. Now, injury-wise, Koloko and Harper are questionable for Toronto. Hero, Highsmith, and Adebayo are out for the Heat. When it comes to the total, Miami saw unders recently against the likes of Brooklyn, New York, and Charlotte. And in their last 10 gatherings with the Raptors, Miami had a real tough time getting on the scoreboard. They were held to just 103 points a game in those meetings. Give me the Raptors minus 3, under 220. Next matchup, Spurs, T-Wolves, 7:30 Eastern tip-off. Minnesota's minus 12.5, totals 228 and a hook. Minnesota won their last 4 straight, and they continue to bury teams defensively. Minnesota's got the lowest defensive field goal percentage in the game right now. They're also a top 5 defensive rebounding team. Rudy Gobert snagging 8 defensive boards a game, top 10 in offensive field goal percentage. When it comes to offensive production, Karl Anthony Towns is second on the roster in scoring, 40% shooting from 3-land. Now they're facing a terrible Spurs team who's just 3-16 on the season. They haven't won a game in about a month. And when it comes to second half defense, well, these guys have been awful. They're in the bottom 3 in second half points allowed. Now, injury-wise, Anthony Edwards is questionable for Minnesota. Vassell and Collins questionable for San Antonio. When it comes to the total, the Spurs saw unders recently against the likes of New Orleans, Golden State, and the Clippers. Meanwhile, Minnesota saw 4 out of their last 6 in-conference home games stay under the line. Give me Minnesota minus 12.5, under 228 and a hook. Next contest, it is going to be Bulls hosting the Hornets, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Chicago's the 5-point favorite at home, totals 221. And even though this isn't a huge number here, the Bulls haven't been a great covering team. They're 3-7 against the spread in their last 10, and they're having all kinds of problems getting to the hoop. They're dead last in the NBA in first half scoring. When it comes to rebounding the basketball, they're one of the worst rebounding teams in the East. They're facing a Charlotte club who actually does a nice job grabbing boards on the road. And, when it comes to the Hornets, that back door is always open. Charlotte currently finds themselves as a top 3 fourth quarter scoring team. Now, injury-wise, Craig and Caruso are questionable for Chicago. The Bulls saw their last 5 straight get over the total. Meanwhile, Charlotte's 7-1 of the over as the official road team. Give me the Hornets +5 over 221. Next contest, Thunder Rockets, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Oklahoma City's the 2-point favorite, totals 226. OKC's allowing fewer points a game on the road than any other team in the league. And conversely, they've got the lowest defensive field goal percentage on the road in the NBA as well. You just can't shoot on these guys. Chet Holmgren, he's the club leader in blocks. Also drills 40% of his 3 balls on offense. And speaking of offensive production, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's averaging over 29.5 points a night himself. Now they're facing a Houston club who's definitely not built for a track meet. These guys are a bottom 5 point producing team in the league. And out of the Rockets' last 8 contests, they lost all of them except for 2. Now injury-wise, Oladipo's still out. Landale's questionable. 7 out of the Rockets' last 10 ball games fell under the number. Houston's also 7-2 to the under at the Toyota Center. And out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head gatherings, the under cashed 7 times. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. Give me OKC -2, under 226. Next game, Jazz, Mavs, 8:30 p.m. East. Dallas is -10, totals 230.5. And even though Dallas hasn't been spectacular here recently, it's actually the Jazz that are plagued by some important injuries here tonight. Markkanen, Clarkson, and Olynyk, they are all sitting out for Utah. Now, as a team, the Jazz did take the loss in 6 out of their last 9, and they're arguably the worst road team in basketball. Utah lost all of their contests away from Salt Lake City this year except for 1. And they're facing a Dallas team who's got little issue getting on the scoreboard. They're a top 5 point producing team in the West. Now, when it comes to the long ball, well, they splash a lot of them. Dallas is making more 3-pointers a game than any other team in the NBA. Luka Doncic is second in the league in scoring. Derek Jones drills over 41% of his 3-pointers. When it comes to the injury report, Green and Kleba are out. Williams, Hardaway, and Irving are questionable. Meanwhile, for Utah, once again, big blow to them. Markkanen, Clarkson, and Olynyk won't suit up. 6 out of the Mavs' last 9 home games got over. They're also 13-6 to the over for the entire season. Give me Dallas -10, over 230.5. Next contest, Nuggets, Clippers, 10 o'clock East. Denver's the 1-point favorite, totals 225.5. And even though the Nuggets have been pretty solid here recently, they do play their worst basketball on the road. They're 5-7 in their travels. Bottom 10 point producing team away from home. Meanwhile, the Clippers on the other side, they make it tough to get to the basket. They're in the top 5 in the West in defensive field goal percentage. They're also giving up fewest first quarter points. They're giving up fewer first quarter points than any other team in the league right now. Ivica Zubac, he leads the roster in blocks. About a dozen points a night as well for the big man. And speaking of scoring, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they're both averaging well over 21 points a night, respectively. Now, injury-wise, Boston and Plumlee are both inactive for the Clips. Murray and Gordon are questionable for Denver. The Nuggets are 67% to the under in their road trips. Meanwhile, the Clippers saw all of their home games stay under the total except for 1. Give me the Clippers +1, under 225.5. And with that, folks, we are going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. Blazers, Warriors, 10 o'clock Eastern tip. Golden State's the 12-point favorite, totals 226.5. But I'll tell you this much, I just don't think Golden State is good enough right now to cover a dozen points. They've actually lost 7 out of their last 10. and they do have a losing record at home. Now, shockingly, the Warriors are one of the worst home shooting teams in the NBA. They're facing a Portland club who, believe it or not, play some really tough defense despite their record. These guys have the lowest defensive three-point percentage on the road in the league. Meanwhile, late in games, you just can't score on these guys. They're averaging fewer fourth-quarter points than any other team except for one. Now, injury-wise, the Blazers do have a few key components who are banged up right now. That's why you're seeing such a high number here. Now, Simons is questionable. Ayton is doubtful. Meanwhile, Jeremy Grant is inactive with a concussion. He's in some sort of protocol here. Having said that, though, Golden State has a handful of guys who are banged up themselves. Garuba's out with a finger. Paul and Wiggins are questionable. The Warriors saw unders recently against the likes of the Clippers, Spurs, and Timberwolves. Meanwhile, Portland went 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Give me Portland plus 12, under 226.5. And with that, folks, now it is time for our quick pick recap. Give me the Grizzlies minus 1.5, under 219. Magic plus 4, under 223. Sixers minus 10, over 239.5. I'm hitting at 71% my last 15 chairman package picks on my premium page. And the good news is I have another chairman package play going off here today. The link is in my bio. Brooklyn Nets plus 4.5, over 243. Toronto minus 3, under 220. Timberwolves minus 12.5, under 228 and a hook. Charlotte Hornets plus 5, over 221. Thunder minus 2, under 226. Mavericks minus 10, over 230.5. Clippers plus 1, under 225 and a hook. With my next and final free pick for the video, give me Portland plus 12, under 226.5. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. Now, if you do end up getting a membership here today on patreon.com/BrockPage, just a friendly reminder, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase. That's why I always tell folks that chairman package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. It gives you access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you also get access to my chairman podcast absolutely free. It's going to be included with your purchase. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, folks, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page at patreon.com/BrockPage.